that goes along with a handout entitled MCAS, Reading Student Reports and Understanding School Data. It is part one of the handouts on the MCAS exams that we are going to be completing for our course. The first thing that this handout says is use the link doe.mass.edu/MCAS/ to go to the Massachusetts MCAS site, Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System, also known as MCAS. And the next line down says, in the column on the left, click on Test Design and Development. So here's my column on the left, and I'm going to find Test Design and Development and click on that. I will reach a page where there's an overview, and it tells me a little bit about test design, and then I want to choose one of the tests. So if I click on the ELA test, it will bring me to this page, and I can read about the test design. Oops, don't want that. And I get the grade 10 ELA test design. And it gives me a Word document that describes a little bit about what's in the test. How's the test designed? What kinds of questions does it have? The same thing is true if I were to go back and choose the math test. I can also choose the 10th grade test design, and I look for the test design. There we go. Test design is right here. It's a Word document again. I can open that. And it's the same thing. I have things about the standards, what kind of questions there are, how they're broken up. So you should just read through one of those, an appropriate one for your content area. If you're health education, you can pick either the English or the math. If you are in history, I'd recommend the English. If you are in science, you can try STE. If that doesn't seem to have enough information, I would read the math one. Okay, and so then you're going to finish reading that. That'll answer number 2, and then the next thing it says is to click on Parent Guardian Information. So I'm back over here, the column on the left, Parent Guardian Information. When I click on this, then I will be taken to this page with a lot of information for parents or guardians, and I'm looking for the grade 10 annotated Parent Guardian Reports. That's right here. And this is a PowerPoint. And this PowerPoint describes information about the reports that are sent home to parents and guardians regarding their children's performance. So question 3 asks me to look at slide number 2, and it asks me questions about the score, and it asks me questions about whether or not the student passed and what other information is in this box. Okay. So questions 3 and 4 ask me about the score and about their passing or not passing. Question 5 tells me to click on slide number 3. And question 5 asks me about the red triangle and the gray bar that are up here and are also down here. And if I read those, I can see what that triangle and what that gray bar mean. All right. Question number 6 says, this student did not meet expectations, yet on the previous slide it told me that they had passed. So I want you to read the information on this slide and explain in your own words how it's possible to not meet expectations, but still to pass. Okay, this brings us to question number 7, which tells us to click on slide number 4. And question 7 asks you to comment on and explain how this student, so my child, this is their 10th grade score, how they did in comparison to the school, the district, and the state in achievement, and how they did in comparison to the school and district and the state in student growth percentile. So you should just read the information on this slide, look at this data that they provide for you, and explain in your own words what's happening here. Okay, and then we get to question 8, which says to click on slide number 5. And it says to describe the student's performance in each of the reporting categories. So these are the different reporting categories. And here it tells you that this child earned 9 points, and that the average points in the school is 4.4, average points in the district 4.3, average points in the state 4.7. The total possible was 9. So that means this child got every single question in that category correct. Okay, and there are questions. Question 8 asks you to talk a little bit about how this child did in comparison to the school, the state, and the district. All right. It's also helpful to read this information to get a better sense of what's going on this slide. All right. When we're done with those questions, up through question 8, then we want to close our PowerPoint and go back to where we were previously. So we're back on this MCAS page where we left, and we now want to learn about the growth model. So we're going to click on the down arrow next to the growth model. And then we'll see this pop up, growth frequently asked questions. We're going to click on that. And now it says, in your own words, question 9 on your handout is, in your own words, how does Massachusetts measure student growth? And it asks you to look at frequently asked questions 1 through 4, 15, and 16. If I click on overview, there are 14 frequently asked questions and answers here. So you should read the first 4, and then it says to also read frequently asked questions 15 and 16. They're part of the technical frequently asked questions, 15 and 16. Okay, so you're going to have to go back and forth between the first set of frequently asked questions and the second set of frequently asked questions. On my computer, it doesn't allow me to open both at the same time. I have no idea if it'll do that on your computer. Question number 10 on your handout says, in your own words, how does Massachusetts measure school or district growth? Again, frequently asked questions 1 through 4 and question number 18. So if I want questions 1 through 4, I go back up to the overview section. If I want question 18, I scroll down until I get down here and click on the technical, and I'll be able to find frequently asked question number 18. The same is true for 12 and 11 and questions 11 and 12. You just need to go back and forth on the frequently asked questions, read those, and try to answer answer what's on the handout. Okay. When you turn to page 3 of the handout, you'll see something called the student growth roster. The student growth roster, there's not an example that I have found currently online. This is something that they do send out. And so the student growth roster on page 3 of your handout, there's a selection of students, and it gives you what their scores are and what their student growth percentile was in 2019. And it asks you to interpret these scores for a particular student. You should answer those questions to the best of your ability based on what you wrote in response to numbers 1 through 12 on the handout. It's just asking you to use the information that you read and wrote about. Okay, and that concludes part 1 of our MCAS tutorials. All right, thank you.